Hey everyone, today I've got a super special guest from RockShox. She's a reliability engineer. She raced in the Apex in our inaugural event, and I'd like you to welcome Deanna Mayles. Hey Deanna.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are things in Colorado Springs today?
Great. Yeah, it's sunny, but recently snowed, so the trails are not super rideable, but it's really nice out.
I love the sun. I love the springtime, and it makes me get really, really anxious to ride my mountain bike. So how long have you been riding mountain bikes?
So I've been riding mountain bikes specifically for like 5 years. But before that was into road riding and commuting when I was in college, and made the switch after a couple years to mountain bikes.
And what bike did you ride at the Apex?
So I actually have right now a stump jumper that has like a lyric, and it's like was way too much bike. So I actually borrowed a coworker's bike. They were really gracious and let me ride something that was way more suited for like cross country racing. So I rode a Scott Spark, and that has way less travel, and is like, the orientation's like cross country focused, but yeah, it had like a Sid Ultimate up front, like 120 travel, and then a Sid Lux with 100 travel in the rear. And actually, one really cool thing was that it had a remote lockout, which I'm not used to using. So it could easily like lock it out for some like, straightaways or climbing, stuff like that. So
That probably really came in handy on stage 3 when we climbed up Gold Camp for hours.
yeah, it definitely would have been uh, way more, energy trying to ride my Specialized, and so I was really happy to have something lighter and more race focused. So
For sure. So tell us, as a reliability engineer, what exactly is it that you do at RockShox?
yeah, so I quantify and mitigate product risk by using like a lot of statistics to make sure that we're meeting our industry standards, and that the customer performance, we meet that expectation and make sure the product's durable. So I work a lot with the test engineers to collect their data and make it into something meaningful to the design engineers so they know what to tweak. So yeah, just making sure all the specs are met properly, and that the life of the product isn't deteriorating or anything like that.
Sounds really cool. Do you do more just math and algorithms, or do you actually get into a lab and get to like drop anvils on things?
So I help a bit with some test design, but yeah, we have some techs in the lab who run the tests, and then the test design engineer designs it with some input from me. But I kind of help more optimize like how long, the test should run for, to basically demonstrate that our products are reliable. So I'm kind of more on like the back end, using the data to create some like meaningful, reliability metric using statistics. So I'm more of like the data nerd, I'd say.
I think it's fascinating. As a science nerd myself, I'd love to go really deep into that topic with you, but we're going to keep rolling and talk more about the Apex. What made you decide to participate in the Apex this past fall?
So though there's a lot of like chatter around the office about a new race coming, so I was kind of interested from the start once I heard about it. But yeah, I just liked that it was in town, close by, trails I was familiar with. But actually didn't sign up until like maybe a couple days before it closed. Just because it was like a 4-day race. It was a lot to take on, so I was probably a little nervous how I would do. But yeah, I just wanted to try it, and it was in town and familiar trails that I really liked. So just went for it.
Yeah. So some of the pictures that we have from the race show you in an Ohio State kit. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when I was in college, that's when I started, getting into riding bikes. And there's like no mountain biking trails around there really. So pretty much everyone just road rides. And then so I got the kit from being on a club team there, but never raced as a team. But yeah, it was like the only kit I actually have. And I thought it would be very aerodynamic, better than my mountain bike jerseys. So
Perfect. Now, you did mention too in our emails that you were a flat pedal riding newbie. Was this your first race?
yeah, so I've never raced bikes before. Was like super intimidated by the idea just because I was like, I mean, how do you pass people? And then what if you like hit handlebars? And I don't know, just the whole idea was kind of intimidating, I would say. But yeah, I've never done a race. And then it's funny that I really cannot ride clipless mountain biking. It's something I've tried and just didn't do very well. So I was like, I might as well just try and ride flats. And actually, a couple people commented on them. Some of like the pro riders, they're like, I cannot believe you're out here riding flats. Like, that is amazing, but you should really get into riding clipless. It's helpful. So maybe decided that's something I should try before the next race.
Yeah, as a science and data nerd, I'm sure that the efficiency that comes from riding clipless is going to far surpass the efficiency riding the flats. But I also ride flats when I'm out dirt jumping and doing things like that. And so it's ride whatever you're comfortable riding.
Yeah, for sure.
But on that note, with your first race, you were riding flat pedals, and yet you finished 10th overall, 9th in your category, and way ahead of some of the actual professional MTB riders. So when you realized that, did you decide to really go for it and race for the money spot, or were you just out there having fun the whole time?
Yeah, so that was really cool to finish as well as I did. I didn't really expect it necessarily. But I guess my goal was just to kind of break even for the entry. So that was, I guess I was kind of riding for a money spot from that perspective, but didn't really know where I would land in terms of, the other people riding. So I think I just surprised myself how well I did, but at the same time, I have really good endurance and like pretty good climbing and probably better than average descending. So it was just cool to see where I ended up, but I wasn't necessarily racing to be way out there in the front, just kind of went with the flow and then was surprised and happy every day at the end.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that performance, because that always feels so good to be up there. And what was the biggest lesson that you learned from participating in the Apex?
Yeah, probably just if you want to do something, go for it. Because like I said, like maybe January last year, I had heard about the race. And then it took me months until the last day to sign up just because I was nervous, never did something for, never didn't know if I could finish even maybe. But yeah, just go for it and you might surprise yourself. And then in my case, just that I could keep up and really do it. So
Yeah, it's totally a doable event, and there's nothing too scary on it. And I think that the more women that we can get out there to join us, the more fun and party that we can have. And hopefully this year we can do a little bit more partying before and after the race. So I've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you now. Being that you do live in Colorado Springs and we have a lot of people coming to visit, we would like to know, what's your favorite trail in Colorado Springs?
So I really love doing like a big pipeline loop with the climbing up St. Mary's and that pipeline descent. So I would probably say pipeline and even like the Jones section, that some of which we rode on the Apex race, I really like. So pretty much anything in the canyon I really like.
Beautiful. Where's your favorite place to eat post-ride?
So I am probably more basic in this area, but I really like Chipotle. Um, it's just so much food and it's generally pretty healthy. So just great way to like fuel up after a big ride. It's my favorite.
How about your favorite like non-touristy point of interest? Like let's go beyond Garden of the Gods. What's a must-see place in Colorado Springs that might lay under the radar?
Um, I guess my favorite spot is still like biking related. I really like Palmer Park. One trail we didn't necessarily hit on the Apex race was Templeton. So if you're a biker, that's a great trail to hit if you were like some more techie ups and downs. And so I would probably just say Palmer Park.
Now, how about favorite post-ride brewery?
There's one little place kind of closer to downtown that has like sours and some really interesting like goes beers, and it's called Local Relic. And it's actually in this like old church, which is an interesting setting. So it's just really beautiful inside. And the beer is like really unique. So that's one of my favorite spots.
Definitely a must-see. Now, gotta ask, are you gonna be joining us to race again this year?
So I have not signed up yet, but I am definitely interested in joining again because it was a super fun event and it did pretty well, which is cool. But I'm interested to see what the rest of the 4 days, well, I think they released one day so far, to see what the rest of the course looks like, and then probably sign up after that.
Cool. Well, you got this. Just, don't wait till the last minute this time. Well, awesome. We're stoked to have RockShox as a presenting sponsor for the Apex again this year. So thank you so much for joining us today, Deanna. And have an awesome rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. You too. See ya.